pick you up time and time again. And when you need, and you'll need, just believe in me, and I will give you rest from the pain. I'll hold your hand and walk with you. I'll lead you through the darkest night you've ever known. When you fall, and you'll fall, just believe in me. And I'll hold your hand and walk with you. For all my promises, they are unbroken. And every word I say is true. And if that door to your heart is wide open, I'll show you the love that you've never known. La Pétrie, avec nous. La paix, la paix, avec nous, la paix. I am the bread of life. I'll take away your thirst and fill your heart with love. God is love, and He sent me to feed you, for I am the bread of life. And all my promises, they are unbroken, and every word I say is true. And if that door to your heart is wide open, I'll show you the love that you've never known. La Pétrie, avec nous, la paix, la Pétrie, avec nous. La paix. Listen to the sound of silence, and open up your heart and let it in, and fill your soul with God's word, till I come back, till I come back again. La Pétrie, avec nous, la paix, la Pétrie, avec nous, la paix, la paix du Christ, avec nous. La paix, la paix du Christ, avec nous, la paix. La paix du Christ avec nous, la paix. you up time and time again. And when you need, and you'll need, just believe in me, and I will give you rest from the pain. I'll hold your hand and walk with you. I'll lead you through the darkest night you've ever known. And when you fall, and you'll fall, just believe in me. And I'll hold your hand and walk with you. For all my promises, they are unbroken. And every word I say is true. And if that door to your heart is wide open, I'll show you the love that you've never known. La Petrie, avec nous. La paix, avec nous, la paix. I am the bread of life. I'll take away your thirst and fill your heart with love. God is love, and He sent me to feed you, for I am the bread of life. And all my promises, they are unbroken, and every word I say is true. And if that door to your heart is wide open, I'll show you the love that you've never known. La Petrie, avec nous, la paix, la Petrie, avec nous. La paix. Listen to the sound of silence and open up your heart and let it in, and fill your soul with God's word till I come back, till I come back again. La Petrie, avec nous, la paix, la Petrie, avec nous, la paix, la paix du Christ, avec nous.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritus Christi celebration of Haiti Outreach Projet Espoir. I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. It's really my pleasure to be here in support of this work and the mission that Spiritus established now over 25 years ago. My name is Jim Myers, and I'm a board member of Haiti Outreach Projet Espoir, HOPE. I'm also a dear friend of my dear friend, Rosemary Chiarici, who is the founder of HOPE. This afternoon, we're going to have a number of sort of small vignettes and opportunities to hear from people in Bourne. We'll hear from Father Jim, we'll hear from Reverend Myra, and we also have a cooking demonstration. For those of you who don't know about HOPE, HOPE is an organization that really established itself here in Spiritus Christi. With the help of this wonderful congregation, we have now been providing healthcare, educational opportunities, development programs for the commune of Bourne for over 25 years. The impact of this work really cannot be overstated. It's extraordinary. As I shared actually in the homily last Sunday, it is work that has saved thousands of lives. And for those of us who work closely with the people in Bourne, it is really a privilege to be a part of an event like this. And we're incredibly grateful for the support of the Spiritus Christi community and everyone who's embraced HOPE across the years. It's really my pleasure to welcome now via distance a comment from Reverend Myra Brown. Reverend Myra Brown isn't able to be here today because she was traveling and is now sort of doing her penance in terms of quarantine and working her way back to being here. She wishes she was here, but she will come to us in a virtual format.
Rosemarie was an amazing leader and a friend for our mission in Haiti. What I loved about Rosemarie is that when she talked about her work in Haiti and in Bourne, the excitement was just infectious. I mean, you could literally feel and palpate the love that she had for the people, the love and that she had for the land, and the faith that she had, and the vision and dream that she had for the people in Haiti. And what a privilege it's been for her to invite our community to walk alongside of our friends in Bourne, Haiti for all of these years, to be part of the miracles that are happening there, and to know that as a community that we contribute just a little bit and join our hearts with the people in Bourne as we remembered their work, as we had pancake breakfasts together, as we really looked at the pictures of the children and had our hearts touched by the work of the community outreach workers, the women who really transformed the community there in Haiti. The amazing work that Dr. Tony has done, really changing the medical landscape there in terms of maternal morbidity. It's just been amazing with what Rosemarie's leadership has done and the legacy that she leaves for us with our friends in Bourne, Haiti. And I'm going to miss her terribly. I'm going to miss her laugh. I'm going to miss her joy. I'm going to miss her smile. And I'm going to miss everything about her. And so I'm looking forward to this year of celebrating hope in Haiti and the work there in Rosemarie's memory. And so I hope that you will join us to really make this an amazing, wonderful celebration of the work that's happening in Bourne, Haiti.
Bonsoir. Good to be with you. So let's say a prayer. Dear God, thank you so much for the last 25 years of partnership between Rochester and Bourne, Haiti. Thank you for the ups and downs and all the wonderful connections that we've made, the relationships we've established. Thank you for this wonderful international solidarity. You've been our shepherd leading us through. And please bless our fundraiser. Let this be a good boost for the work that we're trying to do there. Amen. Now we're going to look at a short video about how some of this all started, our connection with Spiritus and Bourne, Haiti. Hi, everybody. Our connection with Haiti began 41 years ago. It was 1979. I went down to Puerto Rico to study Spanish. And I met a Puerto Rican priest, and he said, "Hey, Jim, you want the experience of your life, something you'll never forget, come to the next island. Come with me to Haiti." So I went there for 5 days, and he was right. My life was completely changed. I came back and told the church different stories about the poverty I saw there, the desperation, the injustice, and then I went back a number of times and kept telling the parish about my experiences. And Rosemarie had joined the parish by that time in the 90s, and she said, well, look, I'm from Haiti, and I'd love to go back with you the next time you go. So in 1995, we went together with a little delegation to inquire about starting a clinic down there. And of course, Rosemarie was from the top of the hill of Port-au-Prince. That's kind of where the wealthier people were, the more well-to-do people, the gated communities and so on. And she had never met the people down in the valley, down in the Cité Soleil, down in the slums. And so that was an eye-opening experience for her. We were bringing her back to her own country, and yet we were introducing her to a different part of the culture and the country that she had never seen before. Well, she was totally committed from that point on, because she just wanted to help her own people. And of course, she spoke Creole, which none of us did. So she was a great asset. And of course, she was smart, and she was an anthropologist. So what a great asset. I remember one of the first meetings, I was trying out my Creole, and I said something like, "Moins pas poisson." And she is dying laughing. And I said, I was telling the people, my name is Father Jim Callan. And she's laughing and laughing. I said, Rosemarie, what's going on? She goes, you just told him I am not a fish. I couldn't believe it. And then we met this Father Mesidor, and he was the priest at the place where we started our first clinic. And Father Mesidor and Rosemarie became very close. And I said, Rosemarie, what is the door between the first floor and the second floor? She goes, what are you talking about? I said, what's the door between the first floor and the second floor? She goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, the Mesidor. And she died laughing. She thought that was so funny. We had a lot of moments like that. We had to go through the river. We drove thinking that we're going to cross the river on the bridge, but the bridge was out, and we had to carry our luggage in this flowing river. And we just laughed and laughed and laughed. There's so many times that we had a good time down there. It was such a wonderful country, and the needs are so huge, but we certainly found our sense of humor, and Rosemarie did a fantastic job for the next 25 years, and nobody could have done what she did. She was unique. So Rosemarie, we love you. We always will.
What wonderful messages. Thank you so much, Reverend Myra and Father Jim. And it's so nice for me I feel like I'm constantly learning something new about my friend Rosemarie and the connection that we have here in Rochester to Haiti. So thank you so much for sharing those stories and for those really wonderful messages of hope and loving memory of Rosemarie. I really, truly appreciate that. For those of you who don't know much about Born, or if you don't know much about Hope, you can learn about both Born and Hope by checking out our website. It's www.hopehaiti.org. One of the things that we enjoy so much when we do go to Haiti, Haiti gets in the news a lot sometimes for not the best things, but it really is an extraordinary country full of incredibly talented, intelligent people who are just incredibly capable. And certainly one of the things about the culture of Haiti that everybody loves is the food. It's a unique mix of food styles, and sometimes it's really spicy. Those of us who have been to Born usually cook these beautiful meals by local folks who have these traditional recipes, and they really just are unbelievable. And today we have actually a demonstration of some of those traditional sort of styles of cooking. A good friend and a fellow Hope Board member, Sustan Pierre-Philippe. And then it's really a great, wonderful privilege for us to have Monica Chierici, the daughter of Hope's founder, Rosemarie, here sort of helping Sustan prepare the meal, the food that you're going to see today. So I'd like to introduce them both, and I'm going to have them take it away.
Good evening, folks. My name is Sustan, working with Nika. Today we're going to cook Haitians, rice, and beans. For those of you who follow the recipe, I'm assuming that you have the recipe on hand to follow, but I'll go to the list of the ingredients with you. Okay? We have here the parboiled rice is about 3 cups. Okay? You have 1 cup of red beans, okay, which we're gonna soak and cook with 4 cups of water.
How long do you cook it with the 4 cups of water?
It's gonna take about an hour and a half to do that. The main thing is you don't want those beans to be too mushy. So you constantly check with the consistency. It has to be firm because you're going to fry the beans again. The other ingredients we talked about, we have shallots, Scotch bonnet pepper or habaneros, broadleaf parsley or Italian parsley, thyme, and then we have 2 strips of bacon and some salt pork, and then butter, cloves, and black pepper. Okay, and you could use canola oil, olive oil, whichever oil you want to use. Okay, at this point we're going to boil the beans with 4 cups of water. It's going to take a little while, and then we'll come back and then proceed with the list. Okay?
Well, we had the pleasure of watching some guys running a sawmill. These 2 men had saws. One guy would stand on top of the log while the other guy was under the log. And the way they marked the line was to take an old battery and break out the carbon and stuff that was inside the battery and wet a string, and they used that for their chalk line. And I mean, that is resourceful. I mean, to think that you could do that, to take the top of a 55-gallon drum and turn it into a beautiful work of art, because you're hammering on it all day long and building something beautiful. The Tree of Life comes to mind. There's a beautiful sculpture, I'll call it, that these guys just, they hammer it out by hand. Mm-hmm. That's talent. That's talent. I don't care where you live, that's talent.
Well, all the children that I've seen there and experienced, they were very well behaved. They seemed very happy. They were well dressed, and as Polly said, that we got around one night and we told stories, like ghost stories and stuff. It was translated to them, and they had a good time.
Oh, Dr. Tony, he's obviously the stronghold at the hospital, and just energetic soul who I don't even know when he finds time to sleep.
Right.
Because if there's a call and an emergency in the middle of the night, he is right there on it. And so in the midst of seeing the different patients in the hospital, he would visit us and tell us where the next batch of outlets or light switches should go. In fact, one time we put a doorway through a concrete wall, and it took all of us, and it was hours. But Dr. Tony, he saw some patients. Next thing you know, in his scrub uniform and his mask, picked up the sledgehammer and he went at the wall. We just kept taking turns until we knocked the doorway through a concrete wall, and it really brought us together as family. It was awesome.
It's such a great video and testimony from our friends Bill and John and Polly, who have made a number of trips to Bourne, probably one of the most impactful was the work that they did to, one, help us get water established at the hospital, and then, of course, to get electricity at the hospital. We simply, it's hard to run a hospital without those two things, and it really wouldn't have happened without their great contribution and voluntary commitment of their time. So I want to thank them. They're dear friends, and I'm grateful for all that they've done for us across the years. This is an opportunity for me to encourage those of you who are thinking of watching this video and interested in our work. I would encourage you to, again, to check out our website at hopehaiti.org. You can make a donation online on that site. Again, that's hopehaiti.org. And at this point, we're going to go back to Sostan and Nika, who are continuing to make progress on the recipe.
Okay.
All right, folks, welcome back. The next steps calls for grinding those spices, talking about the thyme, parsley, shallot, and black pepper. It's
And
already in
garlic.
there. And the clove, about 3 or 4. Put it in there. If you don't have a mortar and pestle, you could use a spice grinder, and we did that earlier, and this is the result, okay, of what we have. It's not a paste, it's a rough chop that we're gonna use. The next step is to get up a pan. Use about 3 tablespoons of oil. Like I said earlier, you could use olive oil or canola oil. 3 tablespoons. And here we have about 2 strips of bacon and a small piece of salt pork that we chopped earlier. You're going to put that in there. Let it simmer too. Let it saute for about 4 or 5 minutes until golden brown. And then after that, we're going to add the spice mixture that we grinded earlier. Okay? Then you put that in there. Watch the heat because you don't want it to burn. Stir it up a little bit. And then we'll go to the next steps.
Thanks, Sauce and Nika. We're making good progress on that recipe. It's going to be outstanding, I'm sure. This next person you're going to hear from is, I have such an extraordinary relationship with this guy. He's somebody who really, in so many ways, changed my life. Probably about 7 years ago, I had an opportunity to walk the entire commune of Bourne. I did this with a group of three guys, the leader of which was the person you're going to hear from, Patrick Pierre. Patrick started working for Hope actually in the pharmacy. And to be honest with you, he wasn't very good at it. He was meant to do the work that Rosemary ultimately found perfect for him, which was to be out working in the field, doing community projects, and leading a group of team members that we call the C team. This is Santé, Economy, Education and Economy, SEE. And Patrick was born to do this work. First of all, they travel the entire commune. They're up and down mountains. And as he is one of the most charismatic people I've ever met in my life, as you'll see in this video, and everybody looks to him in the community for leadership, They looked to him for solutions to problems, which he was able to collect and then bring back to our team, and we all collectively would work on those. But this hike that I did with him, I just saw the pure energy, spirit, love for Bourne that he has. And Rosemary really, I think, transformed his life in a lot of ways. And I'm going to let him talk for himself about that experience.
In Haiti, peasant houses are built with wood in the shape of a square. In the same way that there are 4 directions, north, south, west, and east, they make houses stand on 4 pillars. For me, Rosemary was one of those pillars that made me stand up in life. The change that she brought to my life was truly great. It is not something that can be explained in a day or even 2 or 3 days. She was a pillar that helped me stand upright and that pushed me to arrive where I am today. People made airplanes so that they can't go backwards. They can only go forwards. Cars, on the other hand, can go forwards and backwards. Rosemary had a different sort of lever no one knew, and that lever was just for me. I had a habit of rushing forward with community development. I was always in a hurry, but Rosemary had a way of helping me slow down. That was her lever. She was never scared of telling me that when I was going too fast, she could use the lever to help me slow down. That is something I will never forget. My favorite Hope programs are Santé dans la Cour and Alpha Social. Santé dans la Cour helped people fight cholera and helped Bourne beat cholera before any other community in Haiti. It helped Bourne fight malaria, and there is almost no malaria in the community now. Alpha Social helped us fight against death in pregnancy due to eclampsia. These programs are close to my heart. And as long as I live, I will do what I can to make sure these programs continue. I will give an example. The mobile clinic Tumola. There were several American Hope volunteers there. They were not afraid to climb mountains with us. They did work with us. When Hope initiates projects, everyone works together, supporting each other. This helps the people of Bourne to have a better understanding of who Hope is. One time, I had a group of volunteers come with me to Malva for several nights. We got stuck there due to the rain, and on the way back to the hospital, we laced arms, making ourselves into a human chain to cross the flooded river. It was a beautiful thing. Actions like these are my favorites. When we all, you and me and Hope and the people in the community and abroad, work together.
A terrific video. Patrick is mentioned 3 programs of Hope. One is the Santé dans la Cour, and Santé dans la Cour really is a Haiti-developed, Haiti-inspired approach to community health, where really we work at the level of the household. La Cour is actually an agglomeration of houses where family members share a variety of tasks, including child rearing and cooking meals and doing those kinds of things. And it's at that level where we need to understand sort of what's going on with families in terms of their overall health. It's here where we can make really early interventions, highly cost-effective interventions that prevent disease. And Patrick mentioned some of the diseases that we had huge success with, specifically cholera. By making an intervention at that level, we were able to teach people about water treatment and use of latrines and how to really conduct proper hygiene and sanitation in the household. We had a cholera mortality rate that was about a third of communes around us, in large part because of this really innovative, creative approach that was developed between Rosemary, Dr. Tony, Patrick, and the people in Bourne. I wouldn't, it would be wrong not to mention our mobile clinics. Our mobile clinics are incredibly impactful. Again, if you want to donate to Hope and to the work that we're doing there, please go to hopehaiti.org and you can donate on our website. And I'm going to now send it back to Sauce and Nika to continue to make progress on the recipe.
All right, folks. Earlier, we sauteed the spice mixture with the bacon and the salt pork. This is the beans that we cooked earlier, and this is the 4 cups of the water that cooked the bean. You have to separate them, and then you're gonna fry the bean a little bit.
I wish they could smell it.
Yeah.
At this point, everyone in the house will start coming around and asking you when the food will be ready.
Yeah. At this point, the beans are already cooked. You don't need to fry them for a long time. Okay. We add the water to it. And bring it to a boil. At this point, this is the 2 habanero peppers or Scotch bonnet, and we're using those not for the heat, but for the taste. You want to make sure that you don't burst them, because if you do, the whole pot will spoil unless you like hot food.
So I was telling Sosten a funny story earlier. My mother actually cooked her rice and beans with jalapenos, so I always ate them. But my grandmother cooked it the more traditional way with habaneros. And so one year at Thanksgiving, because of course we had rice and beans at Thanksgiving, I ate the peppers out of my grandmother's rice and beans. I thought I was gonna die. So don't eat the habanero.
Don't eat, that's right. At this point, we're gonna let the liquid boil. At this point, you're gonna check the salt, okay? So before we add the rice, we check the liquid to make sure that it has enough salt. The recipe calls for about 2 teaspoons of salt. You could add that gradually and keep testing until it has enough salt to taste. Okay? At this point, we're gonna cover and let it boil. And then we'll come back later and add the rice, and then we'll finish up at that point.
I would be remiss in not mentioning a little of the history of how Hope got to where we are today in terms of operating a clinic in Bourne, a hospital in Bourne. A gentleman by the name of Mike Shields partnered, became a good working partner with Rosemary, and together they decided to form a partnership with the Ministry of Health. In doing this, it opened up an opportunity for us to take over the abandoned hospital in Bourne. This was a facility that had been defunct for a number of years, and literally when Rosemary and Mike tell the story about it, it was full of pigeon manure and rats running everywhere, and it was really not an operational hospital in any way, shape, or form. Through this partnership, we've been able to reconstitute that hospital and to also open a clinic in Tabuk. Mike and Rosemarie, as they created this new entity called Alliance Santé Born, which stands for the Health Alliance for Born, which is the partnership between Hope and the Ministry of Health, they needed a medical director. And they were searching for all kinds of people. And you could imagine that there were people who were lots of experienced doctors who had worked in a number of health settings, were interviewing for the job. And then along came this young man who was originally from Bourne. And he started his story when they started interviewing by literally saying, "I was born on the side of the road." And I think from that moment on, he didn't need to say anything else because Rosemarie and Mike fell in love with him. And it has proven to be one of the best things that we've done. Dr. Tony Voltaire is absolutely a visionary. He is the hardest working man I know, certainly the hardest working doctor I know. He cares deeply about his community, and he is as creative and intelligent doctor as I've ever met. So I look forward to hearing what he has to say about Rosemarie in this next video.
Tony, I remember our very first meeting about 15 years ago. As you look back after all these years, can you share with us a little bit of how Rosemarie changed your life? Yes. When I met Rosemarie and you, Mike, it was the start of a completely different life for me. I had just graduated from medical school and returned to my home community. I was working all by myself to try and solve enormous needs for medical care. When we met, I began to see a path forward to realize my goal for the community to have the health system it needed and deserved. From that point, I have grown up with you alongside as we realize what is today a dream come true. Personally, I have become a professional who carries great responsibility now. It all changed when we got together with the same dream. As for Rosemarie, she has left an enormous void for me. I'm still trying to come to terms with this, but it motivates me and all of us to move forward. I would not be the person I am today without you. Together, we both share many good memories of our work with Rosemarie. Can you tell us one of your best memories with her? Yes, this is difficult because we have so many touching and important memories, but let me try. I have a couple in mind, but perhaps most important is the mobile clinic to Mola, the most remote community in Bourne. In the weeks before this week-long clinic to an area that had never had a professional medical presence, Rosemarie and I talked several times each day. She was totally immersed in the details of this major undertaking and wanted to help as much as she could from a distance. We went to Mola and conducted the clinic. It was perhaps the most significant testament to our work for me. We treated more than 800 patients in a single day, with the cases ranging so many different health problems. It was more successful and important than even I had imagined. It was very hard for me that Rosemarie couldn't see this personally, because it had always been her dream for Hope to move to the farthest reaches of the community. The second one is very sad, and it's hard for me to even put into words. It is the day that Rosemarie told me that she had an illness that she would not survive. This is still haunting my soul, and I will never forget it. When she told me, she guaranteed me that you, Mike, and the board of directors would step up to fill her shoes. She said that we have been through so much together, and that although she could not physically stay here with us, she lives on in our work. We're speaking with Spiritus Christi, who have done so much to support Hope's work. Can you speak about that and tell us about one of the highest impact programs in your experience? I have so much to say about this and how important it has been. I guess if I had to focus on some very essential work, it is summed up in Santa Education Economy Programs and Santa Nanloku. These are essential pillars of our community work. We could never have even started this work without the support of Spiritus Christi, and I am always grateful for that. I want to say that beyond these large programs, I still hold a very strong connection to that community. It is memorable as I was experiencing snow and cold weather for the first time. I also felt this warmth from everyone I met at that time. I was a stranger, but I felt completely welcome there. This is very special to me.
As you can see, Dr. Tony's commitment and his love for Rosemarie was very real. One of the things I want to mention is this clinic that's been referred to in Mola, and also the Santé Non Laku again. Both our mobile clinic program and Santé Non Laku have been copied by much larger, better funded organizations. But it's been it's the root, really, the foundation of our health programs in Bourne. And we're proud that other organizations have adopted this creative and innovative approach. We need your help to continue to offer these programs. Please take a moment, go visit our website, hopehaiti.org, and make a donation. And we're going to go back to Sauce and Nika to the big reveal of the dish.
Okay, folks, where we left off, we put the beans in the water. It's boiling right now. We just have to adjust the salt. So the recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of salt, but I have here a half-spoon measure, so I'll put 4 of them. That will make it 2. That's it. Once that's done, this is 3 cups of parboiled rice. Okay, we'll put that in there. And at this point, we're just gonna let it simmer. At this point, we can lower the heat to medium. Leave it there, let it simmer. Okay, until the water is almost gone, and then we go to the next step and finish up.
So we'll have a closing prayer. Thank you so much, God, for Jim and Sosten and Nika and everybody that's working on this wonderful project. For everybody, Dr. Voltaire and everybody there. Thank you so much for this cooperation that is truly saving lives. Please help us to keep our generosity going and help our connection with Bourne go on and on for years to come. Thanks, God, for everything. Amen.
All right, folks, at this point, we're ready to, you let the water evaporate almost completely. At this point, you put 2 tablespoons of butter right on top of that rice, and then you cover it up and let it steam. Lower the heat to about as low as you can, and then cover it up and let it steam for about 20 minutes, and you're done. Once you're ready to serve, please make sure you remove the 2 habanero peppers with care and throw them away, because you don't have any need for them at this point. All right? And that's the recipe. Thank you, folks. This is what you get. see it. This is the final product. Okay, as you notice, the habanero peppers are still in there. I'm going to remove them and throw them away because you don't need them. You can stir and serve. That's it. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, everyone, for taking your time out of your busy days to join us this afternoon. We appreciate you joining us in the celebration of hope and of Rosemarie Chierici and the partnership and friendship that we've shared with Spiritus Christi now for so many years. I thank you on behalf of the board and behalf of the people of Bourne for your contributions, your support, and the many things that you've shared with us across time. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Again, I hope you'll join us in our journey. Please register on our site, visit us often. It's hopehaiti.org. If you have any questions, certainly people in the Spiritus Christi community, myself, Jim Myers, you can find me online too. We'd be happy to talk to you about the work that we're doing. Thank you all very much and have a wonderful evening.
La paix du Christ avec nous, la paix, la paix du Christ avec nous, la paix. I'll give you rest from the pain. I'll pick you up time and time again. And when you need, and you'll need, just believe in me. And I will give you rest from the pain. I'll hold your hand and walk with you. I'll lead you through the darkest night you've ever known. When you fall, you'll fall. Just believe in me. And I'll hold your hand and walk with you. For all my promises, they are unbroken. And every word I say is true. And if that door to your heart is wide open, I'll show you the love that you've never known. La pétrie avec nous, la paix, la pétrie avec nous, la paix. I am the bread of life. I'll take away your thirst and fill your heart with love. God is love, and He sent me to feed you, for I am the bread of life. And all my promises, they are unbroken, and every word I say is true. And if that door to your heart is wide open, I'll show you the love that you've never known. La pétrie avec nous, la paix. la paix de Christ, avec nous, la paix. Listen to the sound of silence, and open up your heart and let it in, and fill your soul with God's word, till I come back, till I come back again. Sing la paix de Christ, avec nous, la paix. La paix de Christ, avec nous, la paix. La paix de Christ, avec nous, la paix. La paix de Christ, avec